Hello wonderful people, it's Genevieve and I am so excited to finally share with you my brand new series about drawing fundamentals. And we are starting strong because in this video we're covering a subject that so many people want to know when they start drawing, and it is how do you draw a realistic portrait? So I'm going to teach you all about the facial proportions so that you can draw a realistic portrait just like this one in just around 10 minutes. So grab your drawing tools and let's get started. You've probably seen this before. A lot of people recommend that you start by drawing a circle, but it's not easy to draw a circle just like that in the middle of the page. So instead I suggest that you just start by drawing a few simple lines. The first one is going to be the middle of the face, so just draw a vertical line. And then you're going to mark the top of the head with a long horizontal line, as well as the bottom of the head, so the bottom of the chin. And then you're just going to add one more horizontal line right in the middle of the two that you just created, which is going to be the middle of the face, which is also the line where we're going to put the eyes. And yes, that might sound totally crazy, but believe me, the eyes are straight up in the middle of the face. Once you have that, you can roughly sketch an oval or egg shape, which is going to be the shape of the head. And then you can sketch a circle within that shape. But don't worry, we're really just planning right now. So it's totally fine if you have a bunch of lines. That's okay. As long as the general shape is there, that's all we need. So like I said, the top horizontal line is going to be the top of the head, then the middle line is going to be the eyes, and the bottom line is going to be where we have the chin. By drawing a circle, we magically created where the second series of guides are going to be. So go ahead and draw one more horizontal line that connects with the bottom of the circle, which is going to be where the nose ends. And then take that same space and measure that on top and trace a new line, and that is going to be the eyebrows. We're going to do that again, so taking the same space and draw it on top, and that is going to be the hairline, just like that. So again, the line that we just traced is going to be the hairline, and the second one is the eyebrows, and finally we have the nose. We're also going to divide this bottom section part here in 3 tiny little sections. The first one being the line of the mouth, and then the bottom one being just kind of a guide for the chin. So mouth and chin. Once you have all these guides, you can actually start drawing the features. I personally like to start in the middle with the eyes, and what I do is that I mark 2 little spots to define the space between the eyes. And once you have that, you can use that same distance for the width of the eye. And then roughly 3/4, so 75% of that distance should lead you to the side of your face that you've drawn with the ellipse. And once you have these guides, you can just connect them at the top, which is going to create the top of the eye. And I personally never really fully connect the bottom. I think it just looks weird in the sketch. I like to just kind of give the idea of it by drawing 2 little lines on the outside, as well as, of course, drawing a semicircle for the iris. Don't go and draw one full circle. Your person is going to look way too excited. Make sure that it's more of a semicircle that connects with the top. It's going to give your sketch a more relaxed and realistic look. Now that we have the eyes, we are able to draw the nose, which is good because it is the next line. And the bottom of the nose usually has a similar width to the space between the eyes, so you can go and kind of mark that really easily. And then you're going to simply draw 2 kind of parenthesis shapes right where your marks were, as well as 2 diagonal lines in the middle. And I also like to sketch a very light circular shape, just to give the idea that the nose is a bit three-dimensional, as well as thickening the end of my diagonal lines. One mistake that a lot of beginners do is they try to connect all of these lines, and sometimes even kind of outline the nose, but you can see that just looks super wrong. So my advice, if you want your sketch to look professional, is to really be kind of minimalistic and just highlight the main features, in that case, the outside parts here, as well as the nostrils. So once we have the nose, we can see the next line is the mouth line, and we're going to mark the corners of the mouth. A lot of people say that the corners of the mouth align with the center of the eye, but I found that when I do that, it just looks like a frog mouth. It's just too big. So I personally like to align it with the inside of the iris here. So you can just go ahead and mark two little lines like this. And instead of connecting straight like this, which is going to give you a cartoon kind of vibe, you're just going to draw some sort of like a wave shape. So it looks almost like a very curvy M. And you can thicken it a little bit. And once you have that, you're just going to connect it with the corners of the mouth like this very lightly. And you can put a bit more emphasis on the corners of the mouth. And just like for the nose and the eyes, I don't fully outline everything. It just doesn't look professional. So the same advice is going to apply, which is less is more. So I'm just going to kind of give an idea of where the bottom lips is going to end. And usually that is somewhere between the two guides that we have here. So something like this. And finally, the last line we have, the last guide we have, is the chin. And for the chin, you basically just kind of draw one little line. We don't see it as a lot right now, but just one little line like this to kind of give the idea that this section of the face, there's something three-dimensional going on there. Okay, so the last guide we have now, the last horizontal guide we have before the hair, is the eyebrow. And the eyebrows are so different from one person to the other, so basically as long as you stay along this guide here and roughly have them be in line with the nose and the eye, you'll be fine. So you can really play with the shape of the eyebrows, the thickness of the eyebrows, the angle of the eyebrows, and get a lot of different looking people just from that alone. Before moving out to the outside of the face, I personally like to add a few details that really make the sketch look super professional. So I'm going to give you some insider tips right now. But basically what I do is, and I might hide the guides just for this, I add half of a water drop shape between the nose and the mouth, just like this, as well as two reverse drop shapes, I guess, between the eyes. And these kind of show where the nose, the bridge of the nose would be, without having to actually outline it, which we said doesn't look good, and you can see it right now, it doesn't look good at all. I also like to kind of thicken the top part of the eye here. As well as where the iris connects. And this is a time where if you want to add the pupil, you can do that, but that's kind of optional for a sketch, honestly. You can also add the line on top of the eye, which is going to be the eyelid, and you can also show a few eyelashes. Without going crazy and, spidering them all. You can just draw 2 or 3 on each side. Very subtle ones, but it's going to give you the idea of eyelashes. So this is starting to look really good. Now all we need is the actual outside part of the face, and we're going to start with the ears. And the bottom part of the ears usually align with the bottom part of the nose, so you can just go ahead and mark that here on the nose line. And the top part of the ear kind of falls between the eyes and the eyebrow, so you can go ahead and mark it as well. And then you just have to really simply connect both of your marks. And just like for the nose and mouth and the eyes, basically all the features, you can keep the details really simple for the ears. What I like to do to kind of show what is inside is just draw one line at the top that follows basically the outside shape, then the large parenthesis, and a upward facing diagonal lines. So again, top line that follows the outside arch, parenthesis along the face, and a diagonal line. And you see it kind of gives you the idea of what is inside the ear without having to just go into too many details. And now the last thing you have to do is actually sketch the outside of the face. We often think that the actual features are what make a person look the way they do, but believe me, a whole lot of it is actually the shape of the face, mostly the jaw. So in that part, feel free to just totally experiment and draw a bunch of different jaws. You know, if you draw something really soft and round here, it looks a bit more feminine. And if you go and draw, like I'm exaggerating, but something super sharp and angular, that is typically more masculine. So you can really have fun there and draw a bunch of different jaws and see how it affects the drawing. For the top of the head, I like to kind of just give the idea of the round here without fully connecting it. Just like that. Because one pro tip I will give you is that when you start drawing portraits, don't draw the hair quite yet. Really just focus on learning these proportions that we talked about and get comfortable with them and play with them. And once you really feel like you've fully integrated them, then you can move on to adding some hair, because the hair is a whole other thing. So really just practice memorizing these basic proportions of the face until they are totally natural to you. And you'll see that in time with practice, the less you'll actually have to draw the guides. You'll just be able to go in and kind of sketch the face, and the guides, you'll just kind of have them in your head instead of having to have them on paper or on your iPad or computer. But in the meantime, feel free to take a screenshot of this so you always have a reminder of the basic proportions of the face when you are practicing. And I would love to see what you guys draw, so make sure to share the result with me either on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any feedback, make sure to leave a comment below. And last but not least, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of the drawing fundamentals video that will come out in the future.